if you get, let's say in the Republican Party, for example, beyond the leadership, and to a certain extent the Democratic Party as well, there's surprising concordance between Democratic, Independent, and Republican voters on a number of issues like Social Security, taxing millionaires, whatever it might be. And yet, so people who self-identify in the political world as liberal or conservative, let's say, may feel strongly that they're a liberal, strongly that they're a conservative, but on many issues, they actually agree issue by issue. So that sounds like it's part of what you're talking about. Is this because some sort of social cohesion binds them together in the belief that they have a polarized enemy that's the other group, even when they share values?
Well, part of that is true, but the other thing is that here you've got an issue where there are opposing groups that are defined by their differences, right? So if you're a Democrat and you think of a Republican, what comes to mind is not has two arms and two legs,
right?
Right. It's not the commonality. It's not the things that make that person the same as members of other groups. It's the thing that makes that person different from other groups. That's how groups are defined. When a man thinks of a woman, again, doesn't think two arms, two legs, thinks about the things that are unique about a woman that make a woman different from a man, perhaps and vice versa. I'm not saying everybody does that, but that tends to be the way that groups are defined. They're defined by their differences. This is true about the self, too. So if you think about who you are as a person, human being isn't the first attribute that comes to mind. It's an attribute that makes you different from others. We define ourselves by our differences, and that then has the feature, particularly when you've got an issue where groups are so clearly defined by their opposition, that thinking about the other side, what comes to mind are the things they're opposed to you on, and that then can spill over onto lots of different beliefs and can lead you to assume that they're just more different from you than they actually are, because you don't think about things that might make them similar to you as well.
Has there been any social change in the last 100 years in this, or have human beings always been like this?
Well, I can't speak to that from data, but certainly the divides between people and the inherent kind of tribalism or groupishness that leads to some of this misunderstanding, you certainly won't have a hard time finding evidence of it if you look through human history. I think it's pretty easy to imagine that things have changed a lot right now from where they used to be, but human beings have a lot in common, whether they're human beings from the 21st century, the 20th century, the 19th century, lots of commonality. It's easy to imagine there are lots of differences. I suspect mostly there are a lot of similarities.